Alright guys, it is that time of the week again and we are back for our Championship score predictions. Some big games coming up this weekend at the top and bottom of the table. And as always, I want to get your guys' verdicts on these matches in the comments down below. Do drop your score predictions in there for how you see these games going. 300 likes on today's video would be massively appreciated. And if you're not already, make sure to go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a video. But without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting out with the Friday game, and this has the potential to be arguably the best and most high quality match that we're going to see in the Championship this season. It's Leicester against Leeds, and I hope this one doesn't disappoint. Leicester on a 9-game winning streak. Can they make it 10 wins on the bounce? I think that's what Burnley managed to do last season, and I mean, I wouldn't put it past this Leicester side to go on and smash that record and carry on winning past this game. If they are going to slip up in a game this season, Leeds United could absolutely be that side to go ahead and punish them. Their attacking quality has been on show for these last few weeks especially. They put 4 goals past Huddersfield, albeit this one will be a much sterner test. The only doubt I've got in the back of my mind with Leeds right now is in their last few away performances, there have been a couple of red flags that have popped up. Obviously, that loss against Stoke, a little bit under par. I know they got back and won that game against Norwich in the end, but they were 2 goals down at half-time in that game. And I certainly don't think they can afford a slow start in this game. And obviously, Leeds also lost that game against Southampton on the road as well. First goal in this one, I think, will be quite important. Leeds have got enough firepower to get back into a game, even if they do fall behind. But the real strength that Leicester have, especially with the way that Maresca's got them playing right now, is the amount of control they've actually got on each football match they go into. They never really look too frantic, always look like they've got the tempo of the game under control and they're playing things at their own pace. And I think they're absolutely brilliant at just taking the game away from the opposition as soon as Leicester do score that first goal. So first goal is going to be important. With that being said, I can see both sides getting on the score sheet here. Wouldn't be surprised if Leeds come up with something, especially if those forwards are on song for this one. With all that being said, I think Leicester might make it 10 wins on the bounce. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leicester home victory in this game. Next up then to St Andrews for Birmingham up against Ipswich. It's 3 games, 3 losses for Wayne Rooney so far. Only 1 goal scored in that time, and it doesn't get much easier going up against second in the Championship Ipswich in this game. Now, there were a few vulnerabilities that Plymouth managed to flag up with that Ipswich squad maybe, but even despite maybe Ipswich not being at their flying best last weekend, they still got all 3 points and in both boxes ended up being the better side, and that's ultimately where they went ahead and won that game. Birmingham had a few key decisions going against them in that game against Southampton. Had they gone their way, who knows if they could have picked up a point or not. What Birmingham need to do in this game is not allow Ipswich to get up ahead of steam early in this match, because if Ipswich do score early here, take the game away from Birmingham, I could just imagine the confidence being drained out of St Andrews. The fan base doesn't feel like it's completely behind Wayne Rooney yet because they're still waiting on that first win. So while I see this one being fairly close, I think I've got to be back in Ipswich for all 3 points. I'm going to go 2-1 Ipswich on the road in that game. Next then to Ashton Gate for Bristol City up against Sheffield Wednesday. Maybe expecting a bit of an awkward atmosphere there at Ashton Gate after the dismissal of Nigel Pearson to the dissatisfaction of a lot of Bristol City fans. I'm interested to see how they turn up for this game against the Sheffield Wednesday side who finally got their first win of the season over the weekend against Rotherham. Now, certainly think there's a long way back for Sheffield Wednesday from this point, and they will have much sterner tests than playing Rotherham, and this may be the real litmus test for Danny Roll's side. I think we have seen gradual improvements in the performances under the German coach so far, but can they go ahead and back up that performance against Rotherham now on the road against this Bristol City side? As of recording, it's been widely reported that John Eustace will be the new manager in the Bristol City dugout. You guys, when you're watching this, may have more information than me, but be interested to get some Bristol City takes on that down below. Score prediction wise, honestly, I could really see this game going either way. Not quite sure where the Bristol City headspace is at with a lot of their players and the departure of Pearson. That's certainly something that Sheffield Wednesday could look to take advantage of. With that being said, the jury's still out for Sheffield Wednesday a little bit for me, and I think I'm slightly edging Bristol City in this fixture. Score prediction, going to go 1-0 Bristol City. Slim margins though. Next then to Huddersfield up against Watford. Huddersfield could really do with a result in this one, having lost back-to-back matches, and the fact that Rotherham play QPR this weekend, so at least one of the sides in the bottom three is going to be picking up some points this weekend and could start to bridge a gap between themselves and Huddersfield. With that being said, they're going up against a Watford side who have had a bit more resilience about them recently. They're 4 games unbeaten, have taken advantage of a decent run of fixtures that they have had recently. For all their faults so far this season, have carried a little bit more threat in the final third recently, and given some of their individual mistakes Huddersfield have been making, they're conceding on average around 2 goals per game right now. It's probably Watford who I'm favouring in this one. Score prediction in this game, going to edge Watford for a 2-1 away victory. Next then to Millwall up against Southampton. Millwall still searching for a new manager as of recording. They've not quite had that post Gary Rowett bounce, still yet to win a match since Rowett's gone ahead and departed. And I think this will be a tough match against the Southampton side who have been finding their groove recently. 6 without a defeat for Southampton, going up against a Millwall side who have yet to really find their flow, especially at home. Just 2 wins from their 7 matches at the Den so far this season. Now, while I do see Southampton having the limelight of chances and possession in this game, Millwall can find some areas where they can hurt Southampton. I still think they're a little bit vulnerable from crossing situations and being caught out on the break at times, and we saw Millwall being quite effective in those scenarios in their recent 2-2 draw against Watford, particularly with putting balls into the box. I think that's where they can have a bit of joy in this fixture. With that being said, it is Southampton who I think have the more firepower and are playing with that bit more swagger and confidence right now. And for a score prediction, I'm going to go 3-1 Southampton. Plymouth against Middlesbrough is a really interesting matchup. I think that Middlesbrough fell well below their expectations last time out against Stoke, and they'll be looking for a bounce back in this game. Going up against the Plymouth side, who I actually thought played really quite well against Ipswich, and on another day had a few key decisions gone their way, I think would have got something from that game. If they can bring that same energy, that same tempo into this game against Borough, and Borough still aren't completely on their game, then I think Michael Carrick's side could be in for a tough afternoon. With that being said, last season Middlesbrough did have really good bounce back ability under Carrick once they were really into their flow. They rarely lost back-to-back games under him. So this will be a real test of character for Borough if they can immediately right the wrongs of that latest defeat they had against Stoke. Score prediction in this game, I'm going to fancy a few goals either way. Going to go for a 2-2 draw here. After that, we go to Deepdale for Preston up against Coventry, 2 sides who could really do with a win in this one. Coventry, having lost their last 3 matches, just not been able to build any sort of momentum all season, going up against the Preston side who are without a win in our last 7 games now. Now, I do think there has been an air of misfortune about some of Preston's results recently. With that being said, it's up to us now to go ahead and change our luck. You know, we can't be reliant on refereeing decisions or small margins to be going our way, and we absolutely need to take advantage of the next few fixtures because the run we're on right now just can't carry on for much longer. Now, it is worth pointing out that Preston do have an exceptionally good record against Coventry in recent history. We're unbeaten against Coventry in our last 11 meetings, and Deepdale hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Coventry over the years. To find their last win at Deepdale, you'll be going all the way back to the year 2000. How much you can read into that sort of thing, it's up to you, I suppose, but I think the scales have to tip in Preston's favour eventually. Without a win in 7, I think that has to change. I think we've got quite unlucky with some of our results recently. And with the way Coventry have been going recently, obviously another loss for them on Monday night, I'm going to marginally back Preston to win this one. I'm going to go 1-0 North End in this game. And a big game going on at the bottom of the table here. We've got Rotherham going up against QPR. It'll be Martí Cifuentes' first game in charge of QPR, and what a game he's gone ahead and thrust himself into here. QPR currently on the longest winless run in the Championship, 9 without a win. It's 6 consecutive defeats, but a real chance here to get something against the Rotherham side, who I thought looked really under par against Sheffield Wednesday over the weekend. A real chance for the Millers there to stick the knife in while Sheffield Wednesday were bottom of the Championship and still winless, but a real disappointing performance on the road, and ultimately I think that's what will be their Achilles heel this season. They have been more competitive at home, and I think they absolutely need to have a reaction in this game, but with potentially a bit of a new manager bounce at QPR, I think I'm sitting on the fence for this one between these two. 1-1, which isn't massively helpful for either side's survival hopes. I think that Stoke against Cardiff has the potential to be quite a bit of fun this weekend. A win in this game for Stoke would take them to within 1 point of Cardiff, who obviously currently sit in the top 6, and what a run it's been for Alex Neil's men recently. 3 consecutive wins in 3 really tough matches, and if they come out of this game with a respectable result, I really think there's a chance here for Stoke to go on quite the run of form. Their next 6 matches after this clash with Cardiff are all against sides who are currently below Stoke in the league table, so a real chance for them to continue to build some momentum between now and Christmas. This game against Cardiff won't be easy though. It's back-to-back wins for Cardiff, and generally speaking, really have liked the look of them so far this season. There has been a bit of unpredictability with them on the road. I know they had that emphatic win against Huddersfield, but 2 of their last 3 games on the road have ended as defeats for Cardiff. I see this game being very close, but I've backed against Stoke for the last few weeks now, so I think it's about time I get on board and maybe back them for a result in this one. Score prediction here, I'm going to back Stoke for a narrow 2-1 home victory. Do think it'll be tight though. Next then for Swansea against Sunderland, both sides winning over the weekend. 2 quite important results actually. Swansea getting back to winning ways against Blackburn, really important after quite a drab performance before that against Watford, and Sunderland finally getting back to winning ways with a statement performance against Norwich. Before that point, they have had a little bit of a slide off with some quite slack goals that they were conceding, but look back to their best in that game against Norwich. Now it's a question of whether or not they can translate that into this game against Swansea. Generally speaking, Sunderland tend to be a little bit more ruthless on the road than they do at home, but I think that Swansea can set up a few traps in this game to hurt Sunderland, where there have been a few vulnerabilities recently. Honestly, I see this one being quite tight, and I think I'm edging towards a draw actually. Going to go for a 1-1 between these two here. Next then we head to the Hawthorns for West Brom up against Hull. Really don't see there being a lot between these two in this one. They've both had identical records so far this season, each on 23 points, and both sides who look like they'll be up and around the playoff picture come the end of the season. Now, West Brom's next 5 or 6 matches really do look quite tricky on paper, and I think that this run up until around about Christmas will really tell us if this West Brom side has the minerals to make it and get over the line into the top 6 this season. Their next matches see them going up against Hull, Southampton, Ipswich, Cardiff, Leicester and Sunderland, all sides who are currently in the promotion mix right now, and this could be, like I say, a bit of a make or break month for the Baggies. It was a good win for them on Monday night against Coventry. We'll see if they can put that into practice against this Hull side in this game. Obviously, I was watching Hull very closely over the weekend. They got the better of my side, North End. It was a very tight game, but Philogene having the game-winning moment, and as he so often does, can be the difference for Hull in those tight matches. And I think that this is going to come down to who's more clinical on the day. I think that both sides will have a similar amount of chances in this one, and to be honest, I think I'm probably talking myself into a draw between these two. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1er between those two. Think it'll be tight. We then finish the weekend off at Carrow Road for Norwich against Blackburn, and could this be the final straw for David Wagner? Norwich currently find themselves 17th in the Championship, and for a side with Norwich's ambitions, that is absolutely unacceptable. They're 5 without a win, 3 losses on the bounce. If they lose this game, I really feel like this could be the end of his tenure. Now, I know that momentum can switch like that in the Championship. We've seen Stoke absolutely rocketing it up the league because they put together 3 consecutive wins. If Norwich can have a change in their fortunes, maybe that'll be the case for him. Do I see that happening in this game? I'm not so sure. I think there's been so many individual mistakes at the back for Norwich recently. They're conceding a high volume of shots per game, and to be honest, even though Blackburn lost their last game against Swansea, still created a decent amount of chances. They had 20 shots in that game, and on another day probably would have got a point or maybe even all 3 if they were that little bit more clinical inside the box. With the high quality chances Norwich giving up at the moment, generally with how Blackburn have been playing, I think I've got to be backing Rovers for all 3 points in this game. Score prediction, going to go 2-1 Blackburn on the road. Well guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to get your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you see all of these games unfolding? As always, if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. And I'll see you all in the next one.